Hey everyone, Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danico, 3-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils, and you're listening to the Uncle Pucker's New Jersey Devils podcast. Let's go Devils!
It's Tuesday, so we're almost at the end, guys. We're almost back to Devil hockey on Saturday. I'm so looking forward to it. This is the Uncle Pucker New Jersey Devil podcast. Bobby had to get an emergency root canal today, so he's convalescing. So we have Tony and Tim, and I'm Chris, and we're going to talk all kinds of foreign nations. We got a fun Devil to play with tonight, and talk about some moves that have happened inside the New Jersey Devils camp over the last couple of days. But first, what's up, boys? How's everybody?
Yo, what's up?
Yo, I'm good. Well, I'm about as good as it can be, considering. But I mean, God, what a pussy Bobby is, huh?
I know.
You get yourself out there and you put yourself in the game. Toothache.
I don't want to hear it that he's all too numb and he can't come.
He always
podcasted.
says that.
Yeah, I know. I podcasted the same night I got major dental
Seriously,
work
look
done.
at you.
I'm
What a
just
hero.
saying.
It's like Brady Kachuk.
Right. I'm
Right?
like Brady Kachuk. I'm a
Bobby's the basketball player of our
baby Huey
medicated.
looking, weird ass looking dude that likes to hit people. I'm Brady. So Tone, you've been watching the Four Nations?
Yeah, I mean, I've been, I watched the which game did I? The first one I watched was the crazy game between Canada and the States the other night, which was awesome, man. It was like the game totally has a different vibe than I thought it was going to have. I got to admit, before it started, I was excited, but I wasn't like totally like, I was kind of like, okay, let's see how this goes. But the excitement level is pretty damn intense, and already I was even happy for Brat last night.
I was really happy for Brad.
Yeah,
That was great.
Too.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been fun. It's it's going to be interesting this next game. I mean, you got to kind of think Canada's got to be pissed off. And
I
it's
don't
going to be.
think this is going to be the same Canadian team they faced on Saturday.
No.
Think, they want to win this thing, and
And Quinn Hughes is playing, right?
Yeah, Quinn is coming in to take over for Charlie McAvoy because he's
supposedly there's all kinds of people are saying like he's not allowed to play because of like I don't know. I think they're gonna let him play. Like that's ridiculous if they don't. I hope McAvoy's.
What happened to him? He disappeared on us.
Tell us what you think, Tim. Tim, tell us what you think here.
Yeah, Tim. So why don't you proceed a little bit about Charlie McAvoy? What are you saying about him? Oh, okay. Hello, Charlie McAvoy.
I wish we could.
He's probably never going to play hockey again. That's my Tim impression. All right, Tim.
Tim
think
looks
you
so
better.
damn serious. Come on, Tim.
I know, man.
Serious,
what the hell?
Oh,
he's back. He moved.
Man behind the mask.
No, he's stern. He's wait, he's moving.
Medicated.
Am I?
We're just making fun of
you. Dipping into the pharma.
What?
He's drooling now.
I know.
Special Olympic.
Did you hear anything I said? Like
we heard Charlie McAvoy.
Honestly, I don't know what the fuck's going on with my internet connection, man. It should work. I don't know why it doesn't. I just, I've just plugged in a new I have like one of those Eero mesh like Wi-Fi extenders, and I don't know why it's not working.
Boy. Sorry, my dog's crying outside because I'm not out there playing with him.
So anyway, I was saying, I hope McAvoy's okay. Like, he was rushed to the hospital because of an infection from his shoulder injury or whatever his injury was.
Yikes.
Which just doesn't sound good. I don't know. Yeah, they were saying because it's only one defenseman and they already brought in Sanderson, but Canada brought in two defensemen. I just think honestly, both countries should say, you know what, fuck you, Gary. We're gonna write all of the roster mistakes that we made. Really bring in all the best guys. Bring in like Tom Wilson and bring in Dr. Hook McCracken and Poodle Lucier and Keller and Tate Thompson and Caulfield and just let them all come in. Just let them all play. We'll do a real best on best. Kick Bennington to the curb and bring in Logan Thompson.
I think because Quinn was on the original roster. I mean, I even think he was one of the original 6 that were named last year to being on the American roster. So he should have no problem with the roster spot. I understand that he was injured or whatever, but really they're going to make a big stink about that. I hope not.
I hope not too. But it's just, It's just the excuse train firing up for Canada. It's been like, oh, they brought in Quinn Hughes last minute. Blah, 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 blah.
Now, what about the Kachucks, though? I mean, they're both banged up, and this is a product of, playing the way that they played, the way that they play. This is, they've got, both of them are serious. They look pretty serious, especially Brady going into the post last night. That didn't look good. And he comes out, he takes a 130-second shift, and he's right back off the ice, and he's not back again. Matthew missed a game. Are they going to be ready for Thursday? Because that really changes the dynamic of the game if both of those guys, even one of those guys, is out.
I think they'll be ready. I think no matter what, they're going to be ready. Now, what do you let them do, right? Like, do you put them out? I mean, this is where the whole thing comes with the injuries and stuff like that. Like, it's a lot of.
Now, being that it's Florida and Ottawa, like, we really don't give a shit, right? Like, I'm all for them playing their asses off, and then they're on the shelf for the rest of the year. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, especially Ottawa. Let Brady be on the shelf, tank the rest of the season so we could trade for him in the offseason.
I don't think Ottawa's ever getting rid of Brady Tkachuk. Brady Tkachuk made his name in this tournament, and I think that people are starting to realize what we all thought for the last few years about this guy, that he's better than Matthew.
That's not going to carry.
He is better than Matthew.
No, he's absolutely not.
I would take him over Matthew. Matthew's got better hands. He's a little bit of a better scorer, but the all-around physicality of the game, Brady brings it more than Matthew does. And I would rather have Brady Tkachuk than Matthew Tkachuk on my team. I'll take either one, but if I had to pick, I'm going Brady over Matthew.
Matthew's easy over 100. Okay, yeah, Tony, go ahead. But
I would agree with you, Chris, but I just can't forget Matthew last year when during that cup run, man.
But we haven't seen Brady in the playoffs.
But we have seen Matthew. I mean, it was, what could you not have wanted? Everything he was last year in that run was anything you could want from a player, I think, and it delivered. I mean, and it had the end result for them. That's the only reason because I love Brady Tkachuk. I mean, I love them both.
I saw Matthew Tkachuk last year in the run, the year before making it to the finals, and even before that with Calgary, their second round of last year that he was there, and he was the best player on that team. He was amazing. But I'm just saying, I think Brady can bring more come playoff time, and I would go with him. I understand the known quantity of Matthew, but me personally, I think it really is a personal choice because they really are kind of cut from the exact same cloth, literally. So I would go with Brady.
And both guys, you're watching both of these guys and saying to yourself, I wish I had either of these guys.
I know.
So at the end of the day, you'd be happy having either of the guys on your team.
But I just want to clarify, though, that Matthew is a far better hockey player than Brady is. By a lot. By a lot.
I mean, I'll give you that.
Yes, by a lot. Like, I mean, he's over 100 points consistently for the past 3-4 years. Brady's barely cracking 70.
I think Brady can get there.
Pretty wide gulf in talent.
I think Brady can get there.
I don't.
I do. All right. Well, we'll see after their careers are all done. I mean, Matthew already has a huge leg up with winning a cup. I mean, there's a very good chance that Brady never does. But look, they're both phenomenal players, and they do a whole lot to a roster when you plug these dudes in. So, Tone, I'm curious though. We didn't talk? What do you think about JT Miller going back to the Rangers?
Well, yeah, I think he's a good player. I didn't like to see him go there, but I don't know. I'm not know if the Rangers are going to be a problem for us this year, but I mean, I wasn't surprised he went there. I'll put it like that. It made sense. He's been there before.
Do you think they make the playoffs?
The Rangers?
Yeah.
I was looking at actually before I came on tonight, I was looking like 58 points they have, right? So
58, yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't know. Like I think you never know. They can make a run. What is there, 24? Is there 24, 23 games left? Something like that, right?
We have 25.
Depending on the
team,
team,
26 or 27.
Depending on the team. So anybody can make a run. If anybody can, they do have a team. When you have Shesterkin in that, you can make a run.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but I really don't know if they will or not. It's why I actually have no. It can go either way. I think with that team.
I think JT Miller really helps them. The thing is,
definitely.
I think what they were trying to do to simplify it, right? They were trying to get the same effect, speaking of Matthew Tkachuk, that Florida got when they traded for Matthew Tkachuk. And we talked about it ad nauseum over the course of the last couple of years. We've never seen a team take over a one person's personality like the Florida Panthers did when Matthew got there. Now, they had pieces, right? They had guys that can play that way and stuff, but Matthew Tkachuk was like that catalyst to say, this is how we're going to play every single night, and they all bought in. I don't know, and JT Miller has that as well. I just don't know if the other Rangers are the type of players that will adopt that style and play the way that like Florida plays now. I just don't know if they have those dudes.
Yeah, like with Florida, they obviously had Barkov. Bobrovsky kind of came back from the dead a little bit. Reinhardt suddenly is blown up into this 60-goal scorer. Verhaeghe, 30, 40 goal guy. Gus Forsling, they got off the scrap heap, and he's turned into one of the best defensemen in the league. So a lot also went right for them in terms of the other personnel. And I don't see that happening for the Rangers. Like they didn't solve, like their defense is still just absolutely atrocious. And they gave up probably one of their best, even Mancini gave up one of their best up and coming pieces that they had. But they didn't fix that problem. I don't know. Maybe if they will. I haven't heard much about defensemen on the market because I've been really looking, because our needs have been forward. So I've been kind of hyper focused on looking at forward needs. So it'd be interesting to see if they make more moves to try and fix this up. They have a ton of cap space too.
We called up Casey today, right?
All right, let's talk about that. So
okay, sorry about that, Tim. I just for some reason
you're right. That's a great segue.
So goaltender Jacob Markstrom and defenseman Jonas Siegenthaler have been placed on injured reserve. This is per the New Jersey Devils X account. We've recalled goaltender Tyler Brennan, forward Chase Stillman, and defenseman Seamus Casey and Shimon Nemec from Utica. Brennan and Nemec will join the club for this afternoon's practice. So Nico Dawes is apparently staying down in Utica. I'm guessing so again, we don't know any timeline on Markstrom and Siegenthaler. Now, just because they're being put on injured reserve now doesn't mean that they're going to be out long term. But we were kind of expecting Markstrom to kind of be ready come this weekend, and that was kind of where it was leading. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. That makes me really, really nervous. Like, is this dude going to be ready for the playoffs, or are we in a trouble here with goaltending? And maybe I'm being hyperbolic, but this news makes me nervous. Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, and the words that were left out that often get put into those IR announcements is a retroactive. It's like I don't know why. Like neither of them said anything about it being retroactive to a certain date because you have to be on IR. If you get put on IR, you have to be on, I think, for 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
So none of it was like retroactive to February 2nd or whatever it was. And with Siegenthaler, it's. He did actually undergo that procedure. Of course, you're not telling us what it is. So they said they're going to reevaluate him in 2 to 3 weeks. So I think Siegenthaler's done until the playoffs, which really sucks. But not hearing anything about Markstrom's timetable when the IR starts or anything like that makes me nervous. I guess we're going to ride Allen. Like I don't know why they called up Brennan instead of Dawes. I don't know if Utica has games still and they want Dawes to play in those games. And I think a couple of the other guys that they called up were probably fill-ins for some of the guys that are still at Four Nations, like Jack and Bratt and Haller. Bratt and Haller are eliminated, but they're coming back. So I don't know if. Those are practice placeholders. So I don't know. There's all kinds of roster shenanigans that went on today.
What do you think, Tone?
Yeah, I agree with Tim. It makes me kind of concerned. I mean, even with Siegenthaler, like we were saying, Siegenthaler was good this year for us. He was solid. I mean, it was a much better year than last year. Before that, we actually, if you remember, Chris, like during those playoffs with the Rangers prior to last year, he actually had a good playoff run. Then last year went back into whatever season. This year he's been, I feel like, an important part. And
been our best
Markstrom,
defenseman.
yeah, and Markstrom, I think it makes me, it does make me worried because Allen's played good. You know, Allen's been good when called on. I have total respect for him. But it does make me worried because it makes you think he's going to be out for a while. Because I kind of thought he'd be back, or at least with the team, start when the season started back up. You know, so
now
definitely concerned.
I mean, I agree. I think Jake Allen's been all that you could have want from him. He's done it. But I am in no way, shape, or form comfortable going into the playoffs with Jake Allen as our number one. I do not want to do that. I think that is a recipe for disaster. I think he can maybe get you around, but that's it. Like, you brought Markstrom in here to make a playoff run, and this is, you know, hopefully, like we said, it's only, you know, we just need him back for the playoffs. Like, just keep our head above water and get him back for the playoffs. But I would love to get him back ASAP, I think, like everybody. But what about the other guys now? So Brennan, I know nothing about him. I know, like, other than hearing his name mentioned, I know nothing about this kid, his style, his play. I've never seen him play. Chase Stillman, and
Casey.
So Chase Stillman's the only forward they brought up.
Yep.
Okay, so maybe that's because, like you said, Jack's not there, so they brought him in just to kind of be a place filler. Or is there some, you know, I think if no trades are made by Saturday, and then we see, Chase Stillman in the lineup and Mercer out of the lineup, I think we know something's on the horizon. I'm just using that as an example, but I guess it's maybe
just randomly picked Mercer out of a hat.
Did you guys see that Jared McCann they were talking about from Seattle?
Yeah. I love McCann. There are 4 or 5, and the way I've kind of been looking at it in my head is there, 3 to 4 good options for a wing for like Jack's line, maybe 2 or 3 good options for that 3C that I think to bump Hollow down, and maybe a couple of guys that would be good for depth, and actually one guy in particular. But like I could see McCann coming in to be that wing for Jack or to be the 3C because he could play both. Ryan O'Reilly's still the guy that I have like a raging hard on for. I just don't know how that gets worked out.
Especially Barry Trotz is a douche.
Like necklace edgelord.
Yeah, he will not let anything go for, premium price all the way around. But so Tyler Brennan's a big dude. He's got my father's birthday, September 27th. He's 6'4", 180 pounds. He's drafted in the 4th round. I don't have any of his fucking numbers, though.
I mean, he's okay. And I honestly, I wouldn't make too much of Brennan. I think he's just there to go to practice and get hit with pucks while Dawes plays for Utica.
Until the weekend.
Until the weekend, then they'll flip-flop those two. And Brennan probably maybe makes like $100,000 less than Dawes or something like that. So it's more cap accrual. That's what I would guess with him. The Stillman move, I have no idea why. Casey, I don't know either. Especially if Utica's playing. I don't know what Utica's schedule is like either.
Maybe they're showing off some players too,
they could be
some chips out there.
And those would be guys that I think would be the pieces, and if we make a big, like, if there's a big marquee name move, like an Alex Tuck, like that I keep coming back to, and Chris, speaking of raging hard-ons.
I have one for Alex Tuck.
Yeah. Like,
tuck that thing in.
I would tuck it in for Alex. Absolutely.
Yeah, I wish it reached.
It's like a light switch.
Speak for yourself.
I mean, I just want something to happen. I'm going to be so disappointed if Saturday, and this is most likely going to be the scenario, we're rolling in with the exact same roster, and I want change. We know we need some changes.
If there's no change, I think
you don't think they're going to make a move?
No, I'm saying if there's no change, you got to make a few moves. The last couple months, like, I haven't been on the show in the last like month or so I don't really know like what you guys been totally talking about. But yeah, I mean, you have to watch these games and I'll go back to the last time I was on, if you guys remember, and I always preach the same shit. And I know about the toughness, but man, we just need some. I don't care what anybody says. We are just not that team. And I think I've seen it the last 3 weeks where I've sat at each game and been like, man, what are we doing out there? And I just think that we have to make a couple moves and maybe 2 big moves. to actually be contenders. I mean, I think if we roll into this, even with Markstrom, if we roll into the playoffs right now with this roster and just maybe even one move, I don't know if it's enough.
Yeah, and that's why I like talking. That's why I continue to keep circling back to O'Reilly. He's just like that one guy. I think he just is sort of a transformational player. And like in terms of toughness, like we beat the shit out of the Flyers, like up and down the ice when we played them, but then that game disappeared. And it's just like what what team are we?
Well,
Can we
Well, that's
do
the
that?
problem. Every game, it's like
It's something
you get pumped up and you play the minor league team, and then you're getting beat like 3-0. You always get we all have the big thing with the Devils. Obviously, is we get the teams that and nobody sucks in the NHL, but the teams that this should be an easy win. This might be and they come and they give us shit every game. And it gets so
we don't win
frustrating.
the games we're supposed to win.
Yeah, and then we beat the teams that we may not shouldn't be able to.
But I agree what you guys are saying. Like that, you go to that Flyer game. It's the inconsistency. It's been that way since basically end of December, and it has just been inconsistent. We've seen them play games where it's like, holy shit, they look like world beaters, and then the next game they can't connect a pass out of their own zone, and that's what's, like you said, what is their identity? Who are they? And that's why this trade deadline is so important. And I think the most important trade deadline Tom Fitzgerald has ever had, because the team is there. All right. There shouldn't be, in these last 25 games, there shouldn't be a race to make a playoff spot. There shouldn't be any of that. These last 25 games need to be fine tuning and getting playoff ready, staying healthy and getting playoff ready.
Yep.
And you have to do that. If you're going to make some trades, you have to do them now, because you got to get these guys in here. Like you talk about, like Ryan O'Reilly and Alex Tuch. Like you get those two dudes, it changes the entire lineup, like the entire persona of this team. Their makeup is completely different, and they go to being, now you got to deal with Alex Tuch, who can play a lot like one of the Kachuk boys. When we've seen him, he can play physical, and I'm expecting certain guys to turn it up big time come playoff time. Like I think Cotter is going to be very important. Nason, Meyer, these are the guys I want to see elevate their game come playoff time. Now you got to get some help though. Like you said, like we're rolling in with Timo Meyer not knowing where he really fits in, Dawson Mercer being Dawson Mercer, and not knowing what we're going to get from guys like I don't want to, like Palat and stuff. Like these guys have to get them in their roles, get them as comfortable as possible, because rolling in with Palat playing with Jack and Bratt and this third line with Dowling and Mercer on it, like we need to change shit.
Yeah, I said this last time. It's like if Dowling is still playing a prominent role on this roster, like we're gonna get. I still think we're on a collision course with Carolina. I just don't see any way around that in the first round. And if Dowling is still getting big minutes, like he is, like we're gonna get the shit kicked out of us by Carolina.
Yeah.
That's but I think the one thing that I do want to say is like, and we've kind of touched on it a little bit, is every year is kind of a unique buyer seller marketplace, right? In terms of what guys are available, who's available, what teams are selling, what teams are buyers, and because of that absolute clusterfuck in the kind of wild cardish race in the East, there are a lot less teams that are probably in the seller marketplace, which then obviously eliminates the amount of guys. The Penguins have actively said, we're listening to everybody. So do we go to the Penguins? Buffalo should be selling everybody, but who are they selling? Seattle should be selling people, but is McCann and Bjorkstrand from Seattle, are they guys that Seattle wants to build around, or are they guys that they want to sell? Same with O'Reilly in Nashville. Is he part of, what they want to do moving forward and kind of build back around him after just having a bad down year? So there's so many questions around so many of these teams that it's just making this marketplace, I think, is going to be really difficult. And that's why I don't think Fitz is pulled a move. Love it or hate it, he's being patient about it.
I get that, But at the same time, I don't, the next thing you don't want to hear is, oh shit, the Red Wings just got Alex Tuck, and Ryan O'Reilly's going to, Vegas, or I'm just throwing shit out
I
there.
agree. I agree.
Like,
I agree.
We're missing out on these guys, and then it's like, oh great, we got, fucking Joe Schmo from, San Jose or whatever. Like, it's not what I want. Like, especially
Yeah.
Joe Schmo, he's not having a good year.
Well, we just got Nico Hischier back, which is a huge trade deadline
thank God.
acquisition.
Thank God.
Yeah, he's gonna. It's just a massive ad. But that's why I keep coming back to O'Reilly, man. Like, he would take such a burden off of Nico in terms of the defensive zone draws, the defensive zone play, the matchups, and we could pair O'Reilly with Palat, and I don't know, put Mercer on that wing. Whoever winds up on that
Mercer
wing.
won't be here.
Yeah, probably not. Hopefully not.
You guys think they move Nemitz?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's a big maybe. I think that he is definitely. I'll put it this way. I think Tom Fitzgerald is more open right now than he's ever been to listening to Nemec maybe being on the other way, going the other way. I think that last year it was a complete deal breaker for anybody that brought him up. But this year, I don't think so, only because of the depth. And, Seamus Casey, I think, is going to be a stud. I think he's going to be a really good player. But with Siegenthaler being out long term, do you want to risk that? Now, with Siegenthaler being out long term, let's say you move Nemec. Now it's Casey's job. Are you comfortable with Seamus Casey for a playoff run and the last 25 games of the year?
No.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't.
Could you imagine if Nemitz was played under Lamoriello and he was complained, how there was the bitching this year?
Yes.
You would never seen him again up here this year, I don't think.
No, I agree. But
No,
I don't
he
know if he
would've-
pitches to begin with if you're under
No,
Lamoriello.
Nemec would be
No.
playing fucking for the Kunlun Red Stars in the KHL if that happened.
He'd be flinging hot dogs up on the slingshots.
He'd be your neighbor over in some Lithuanian league.
Exactly.
I don't think there's too many guys. I think that, Fitzgerald is going to listen. I mean, if he's doing his due diligence like we all think he is, and he has to listen to every offer. And, if one makes sense and it's Nemec leaving, then so be it. I trust Fitzgerald to get this team better this year. And
Nemec and Casey. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was done. Go ahead.
Nemec and Casey are ultra premium assets to have for the future. And it's
Who would you rather see go, though?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Answer it.
I'm gonna say Casey.
I think Nemec is going to be a better long term than Casey.
Yeah.
I think he's better. I think he's better two-way. Casey is an offensive dynamo, but there's so many moving pieces with that. Like, Dougie's no trade list opens up at this summer. Like, do we hang on to him? I personally think we should, because I'm a big fan of Dougie, but can Casey slide into that role? I don't necessarily think so. Do we re-sign Kovacevic? Like, that's obviously a big kind of, is that going to, you sign Kovacevic, then that blocks either Casey or Nemec. But I think
I wouldn't surprise if he goes.
Yeah, that's another option.
He has people are, he's someone that I'm sure a lot of people are looking at. You're like, you'd like to have him on your team, and then he can come back next year, if he wants to. I guess you'd think of it like that.
And I mean, a right,
they never do.
A right shooting defenseman, that is premium asset, right there. So, I mean, Seamus Casey, to me, I don't know what to make of Nemec yet. Like, I just haven't seen enough to blow me away or really impress me yet, even in last season and this season, that I sit there and say, yeah, he's got, I mean, there's been a few games and a few plays where I can see the potential, but I don't necessarily know if I have an idea of what his ceiling is. And maybe I'm being very, I don't know, I'm looking through this, very Pollyannish, I should say, about Seamus Casey, but I can see him being a Quinn Hughes type of player. The defense is going to come. He'll get that. The offense is special. So I think I would maybe long-term like to see Casey. How about you, Tone?
I think Casey's good. I don't know if see that the ceiling as high as you see it for him. I think Nemitz long run could be. I think Nemitz goes. I'll put it like that. I think Nemitz is the one who goes. No matter what I think he goes because I think that he's already, said some stuff, and which is not. Hey, I don't blame him. He wants to play. That's cool, but he just seems like a team would. He'll be the one that I think leaves. Um, and Casey, I mean, I think well, maybe Casey will play this week. We'll see some more of him. I haven't seen enough, but I do like what I saw. Obviously, when he first came, I loved what I saw. But
Right.
I think Nemitz is the one that goes. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose. So if we actually pull, say we make 2 decent sized trades, right? I would
Mhm.
say the 3 guys, there might be more, I'm sure, more draft picks maybe, but I would think it would be Mercer, Kovacevic, and Nemitz would be the 3 guys
Okay.
I think we lose.
Interesting.
If we're active, if we're pretty active, if it gets,
Well, that would be very active. I mean, you
yeah,
get a lot
yeah,
back if those are the 3
yeah.
guys you were looking. You can reshape this whole team if you
I
walk
could be
away from
wrong,
those
but
3 guys.
that's,
Yeah, with Siegenthaler out, that I think that keeps Kovacevic in the mix a little bit more.
and I like him, so
I do too, and we've really like he was brought in to be the number 7 defenseman and
Yeah.
just played himself into this unbelievable defensive defenseman.
I love when
Maybe
guys do that, man.
yeah, I
I
mean
do.
maybe he priced himself out of New Jersey like Severson and Graves did, and Fitz just says thanks for the year, and unfortunately, we have these guys coming up. But
Yeah.
they're, I think we all see this problem. There's one spot and 3 guys. So
and he's a free agent next year,
yeah,
Kovacevic.
yeah,
So
exactly. And in terms of what we would get back, I think Nemec would probably be the best piece to trade to get the biggest piece back.
more
I
than
don't think
Mercer.
I think
more than
Mercer
more
and
than more
Nemec,
than
yeah.
more than Mercer, Yeah.
I
I don't know I don't know if we're just too hard on Mercer. If there are things that we're kind of nitpicking him about that people look past, and I think Burnett loved him, and Burnett's the coach in Nashville. What if Burnett tells Trotz, get me that guy? That could be an interesting piece to go the other way for my guy Ryan O'Reilly.
and then send Nemec there and we can get Marchessault too, and that takes care of both problems.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They'd have to
Oh,
eat on March, so though.
yeah, I mean, it would have been nice if we signed him in the summer, but I'm not interested in trading for him. I want.
Yeah, it's hard, man. There's a lot of moving pieces there, and Fitz is in a tough spot with, he's built up a good basis, but like if he pulls the wrong strings, he could set this team back. And
Sure.
that's like you said, this is probably his most important trade deadline that he's had as a GM of this team.
I think it is, and I think it could dictate whether or not he's going to be here long term or not. Because you're right, he makes the wrong moves and they don't fit. Then yeah, you're going to set this team back. So I think though, like I don't know if you can go wrong with Alex Tuck winging, playing wing with Jack and Brad. I don't know
No.
if you can go wrong with that. I don't know if you can go wrong with Ricard Raquel in that position or Brock Besser in that position. I don't know if you can go wrong with a Ryan O'Reilly or Jake Evans for 3C, which also then makes our center depth so much deeper. Now having Eric Holla on our 4th line, it would be awesome going through, Heischer and Heischer and Hughes and O'Reilly or Evans and then Holla. That's deep center, and that's where you win, man. You win in the playoffs down the middle. And on your back.
What's gonna piss me off is if we go through the deadline and we get like Evans and that's it, and we
Right.
hold on to everybody and we still have like $5 million in cap space.
Yep.
And it's like, and he's like, oh, I didn't like the prices. It's like, you know what, man? Like sometimes you got to pay to get what you want. Like you need to be going all, like we've said this a couple of times. Like you need to be going all in from this year on. Like we have a ton of backed up assets in a lot of different places. We have a ton of picks that you can use. That 26 first, like that's going to be an end of the first round pick, but it's a nice, pretty, shiny toy that you can pawn off on somebody. Like there's so many different things that we can do.
Yeah.
And
You
I
gotta
don't think
do it.
I just don't think, it's not easy to, it's not just like, a video game where you can say, I'm going to
Sure.
put
That's why
like,
there's only 32 of these jobs in existence.
right.
I get it's not easy, but at the same time, yeah, I'm with you. You have to swing for the fences now every year. If you want to consider yourself a Stanley Cup contender, then hopefully over the course of the next couple of years, it's more tweaking around the edges. Where I kind of feel this year is the one to kind of cement more of the foundation. And like you said, Tony, these guys that we have, this lineup that we have, we're not beating Carolina in the first round. It's not happening. So you got to make some changes. Right now, the only thing that Fitzgerald's mind should be is, how do I beat Carolina? What do I need to beat them?
I think the only way, right with this lineup right now, the only way you do that is if like Markstrom puts up like 3 shutouts, or some crazy goaltending run. Besides that, we're just not built to
As is.
Yeah.
as is, which can change. Hopefully, it might change by tomorrow. I mean, I would hope that earlier, like we talk about this all, instead of waiting until the last minute, it'd be nice to see
This
some
is the
stuff going
time to
on.
do it right
Yeah.
now.
And
right
teams
now,
have been
in the
doing
next
it already.
day or two is the time to do it,
Yeah.
because the guys now that aren't playing in the Four Nations are back now with their teams. So now they're back from vacation. They're settled. Do it now. Everybody starts up Saturday or Sunday. You can get whoever it is in your lineup for the next game. Do it now. You got 25 games left. It's really only 6 games until the trade deadline. So what are you waiting for? Do it now, if you can.
Did you see Jack's comment?
No.
Oh man. I really hope this comment doesn't come back to bite him in the ass. But he basically said the NHL, and meeting in the Devils as well, is on the back burner right now. I'm only thinking about Four Nations in this next game.
Well, I get that, though. I mean, I get why he's saying that. The whole team is so all in, free bird in it, and all the other bullshit. Like, I just, okay, you got it out of your system Thursday night. Hopefully the U.S. wins, and you come back on Saturday feeling really good about yourself. But I hope that the U.S. wins, so Jax gets the championship.
Have you guys done a show since the first U.S. Canada game?
No, we didn't.
No,
No, we did.
No.
Did we? No, we didn't
No,
do
we
a
didn't.
show. No.
After the booing, what'd you guys think of the booing?
Well, I talked about it a little bit on the last show. I have no problem with it. I mean, look, this is, I said it on the last show. They're talking about the mildest form of protest that there is. People are booing. Big fucking deal. And you look at the Canadians and, whether or not you would think that they have a right to do it. First of all, they do have a fucking right to do it. It's a free country. They can do whatever they want. And our president is going out there and shit talking their country every fucking chance he gets. He's calling them a 51st state. He's threatening to annex territory from them. He's putting trade embargoes and tariffs in place that can cripple their economy. He's calls their prime minister nothing more than a governor. He shit talks them constantly. Yeah, I get it. They're pissed. They're pissed not at America, not at Americans. They're pissed at the administration. It's the mildest form of protest, and that is our God-given American right, or
Well,
a
maybe they'll
God-given
get a
Canadian
discount
right.
at the Rivera.
Right. They can go to Gaza and go hang out in the new Trump casino. But but seriously, like, I mean, that's the worst of it. Like, they didn't boo the that bad last night in Boston. I mean, I know it's in Boston. It wasn't in Montreal, but I know there's a ton of Canadian fans that were at that game. They weren't really booing that bad. And
No.
I just think that it's to me, it's a non-issue. And people are trying to make it a fucking issue. Like, that's
I agree.
sport.
Everything's an issue these days. That's the problem. Anything is. And
Look,
I was just thinking at first, oh, they're booing the players. I was like, oh, wait a second. Yeah, I was
no,
like,
they're booing an
They've been
administration.
very crystal clear about who and what and why they're booing.
Right.
And that's fine. And that is their right to do it. Free speech, right?
Yeah.
So I'm fine with them booing. And in Boston they didn't boo. Maybe there are a couple of smatterings from a couple of assholes, but like, whatever.
but it will
I
be a
don't
nasty
like
game.
It will
I
be.
don't. Let me tell you, I don't like it, and the reason I don't like it is I hate that politics is involved in our sports.
Yeah.
I hate it. And I understand that it always has been. I mean, I go back to my first hockey memory. I was 5 years old. It was 1980. It was the Miracle on Ice. And I watched that game. And I watched that game with absolute fear of the Soviets. I was scared of them as a little kid. Like they were all big and mean looking and they didn't smile. And you always kind of knew that like they were the enemy and we didn't like them and they didn't like us. So like I legitimately as a 5-year-old was afraid of them. So
After Rocky too. I mean, how could you not? I mean,
Yeah, and it was the Cold War, and they were in
right.
Afghanistan at
Well,
the time, and the CIA was running a shadow war against Russia at the time too through Afghanistan. So there, yeah, it's always been involved in it. What I don't agree with is people saying that like Pride nights and stuff like that are political. I think human rights shouldn't be political. So like that's the counter argument that I use for that. But I think it's dumb. But
well,
the
I
national
gotta say
anthem
though.
was sorry. Go ahead, Tony.
No, go ahead. Finish them up. Then
No,
I'll go after you.
I'm about to go off on a tangent that'll get me in trouble. But
I'm gonna, and for me, so sitting, everyone who listens, so I'm over obviously in Eastern Europe, right? So I see like today I'm reading this thing with Ovechkin, and he's saying I'm not watching the tournament. He's like because Russia's not involved, right? And I see people in the comments being like, oh, they should be blah blah blah. I know it's not I know the players in the NHL are not involved with this. The problem is, and this is what people forget, and I think this is one of the overshadowing thing that's been going on lately because I see a lot of the inner like the comments people make just on any kind of thing with this whole situation. Like this country went to another country and invaded them, killed their children, killed their people. It's and I told you guys last episode. So we have a cat we adopted from Ukraine, right? That was evacuated because its owner was killed in his house. Then they moved it to a shelter. The shelter was bombed. So we have this cat now. So people don't understand. Like, it's just like I understand that. Like, okay, I know that Shosturkin's not wanting the war. Of course, they don't want the war. Most people in Russia don't want the war. The problem is that what do? You just let this go on and act like that. And that's a big narrative I see lately, especially the last couple of days, is that this is a country that's invading another country
A
and
sovereign
killing
nation.
innocent
Yeah.
people.
that's
And
really
they
good
want,
perspective for
yeah,
us because for us in America, like it's very
it's
abstract.
become acceptable. It's like,
And it's like this. There's this war happening in this far off land, and we want to make it stop. So just tell those people to give up whatever it is to make it stop.
yeah,
And
give them
like
your fucking,
there's
give them
real
Pennsylvania, so we don't come kill the rest of your families. I mean, that's
yeah
pretty much what it is.
it's yeah exactly, which actually doesn't sound like all that bad of a deal, to be
Well,
honest.
except Bobby's there. You gotta get
Bobby's
him
there,
out.
but
We'll
you
take
see,
yeah
I saw
we'll run
Eagles
a
shirt on, by the way. It was very, very odd. It was very odd.
oh man,
You,
what'd you
you
think of
know,
that game?
Well, I hate Kansas City, so I was very. I mean, as much as I can't stand the Philly fans, when I watch the Eagle fans, but I have to say, man, it was awesome. I think it was. I did not expect. I think me and Chris were texting back and forth a couple of days after. Actually, I did not expect to see. Sorry, my phone's ringing there. I didn't expect to see it be such a blowout like it was. I mean, I never seen Mahomes run for his life like that, but I did see it actually the year before against the Raiders on Christmas when
yeah, you
'cause
guys
it was
did whip him
exactly
up.
like that. Yeah, you have to. I mean, you have to go after him. And I tell you, Kelsey didn't even look. Kelsey looked like he had just nothing. I mean,
He's shot.
he looked like he was kind of shot, right? I mean, so I have to admit, I loved it. Chris, how did you feel? I know I know you're not an Eagles fan either. None of us are Eagle fans, but it was like,
Well, I mean, it was nice to see. I mean, I didn't really want to see Kansas City go 3 in a row. And the thing that impressed me the most, and yes, when you have a quarterback like Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, the only way to disrupt them is getting pressure. And the fact that Philadelphia did it without blitzing one time in that game, where they did it strictly with 4 dudes and then said, now we're going to double cover everybody and there's nothing you can do about it. That was the most impressive thing to me. It's not like they were bringing 5 and 6 up and leaving guys one-on-one and Mahomes had an opportunity to start picking people apart. They never had the opportunity. You were getting so much pressure with your front 4 that he could do nothing. And that was the most impressive thing. And Jalen Hurts is a fucking dog, man. He's a big game player. You look at both Super Bowls he played in, he was phenomenal in both of them. So tons of kudos to Philly, man. They had a game plan, they stuck with it, and they really disrupted Kansas City. And I don't know if Kansas City
And they won't get 3 in a row. That's a big thing. Not getting that 3 in a row is a huge thing. I mean,
Yeah.
will Mahomes be there again? Probably. I'm sure he'll get there again. It's definitely a possibility, but I think this is the end. And I'm not saying that Kansas City's not going to be decent next year, but this is going to be the end of the dominance.
The first quarterback that's going to go 3 Super Bowls in a row is J.J. McCarthy. You watch.
Chris, I think about you a lot because I really think that
He's
we're going to have
there.
I think we're going to have your boy as our quarterback this year.
Sam Darnold will be a Raider.
Yeah, I do
think
believe so.
Too.
Just not Aaron Rodgers, please.
All right. No, same here. All right.
Yeah.
Before we play Devil, we do a little shout out to some commercial time. So if you have your fast forward button ready for the podcast, now's the time to fast forward a couple of minutes. We'll be right back. Season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going, but that just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out and games left for you to get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like betting on a team to win. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. It's that easy. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. All you need to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN. New customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, please visit dkng.co/audio. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. NHL and NHL team marks all the property of the NHL and its teams. NHL 2025, all rights reserved. That's DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. The crown is yours.
Chris, did you see Mahomes' father and John Rocker getting ready to brawl in New Orleans the night of the Super Bowl after they lost? Yes. I don't know what the fuck totally happened, but Tim, maybe you saw this too.
I did. But
John Rocker and Mahomes' dad were about to fist fight in the middle of Bourbon Street.
Do you know
Mahomes' dad?
Do you know
is,
what's going to happen from that?
What?
You know how Barstool has the Rough and Rowdy where they have boxing matches?
Yeah.
No,
Rocker, they signed it. That's going to happen.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
They're going to fight each other at Rough and Rowdy. Fucking
this
hilarious.
is why our civilization is going in a shitter. Right there. That's it in a fucking nutshell.
What's the brother's name?
Oh, I don't even know.
Jackson,
that guy. Oh my god! What is
the
not
worst.
to dislike about that goddamn team?
Seriously.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But now this is a conflict in society because now you're fighting John Rocker, who's like one of the worst people on the planet.
Yeah, you have to take John Rocker's side at the end of the day. He's like an awful person. I remember him, the subway, obviously.
Yeah,
back
exactly.
in the day. Yeah, he's not he doesn't work for the human resources. Let's put it like that.
But that's how I felt during the Super Bowl. It's like I am so conflicted about what I want to root for. But
watching them seeing run for his life was awesome.
Yeah, I know. I kind of at the end I was like, all right, this is good.
All right, boys. We're bringing back a devil, I mean, we were kind of holding off until we had more people, and then when Dan's back, but we don't know if Dan's ever coming back. So
when's the last time Dan's been on?
A while ago, a long time ago, before your last show. Yeah, it was on one time, I think like maybe 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, and then So we're just going to do it once a week now, and who's ever on is on. So we may be repeating certain guys, and just so everybody knows, the rules for the devil is today it'll be me. I will be a clue giver. I'm going to give Tim and Tony clues to a former New Jersey Devil player. They get 3 incorrect guesses. before they are eliminated. They can ask me any question that they want. I can or cannot answer. It is completely up to me. So let's get this thing going.
Shall we play a game?
Buckle up, boys and girls. It is time for the Devil You Know on the Uncle Pucker New Jersey Devil Podcast.
Just to preface this, Tony's, you're gonna mop the floor with me.
I don't know, dude. I'm late
not-
nights, man.
I'm not good at these at all.
I think I've done all the ones I know, though. I'm getting kind of screwed lately. I've run out of devils I know.
the
I
only
think
one
there's
that
a-
I knew immediately was the Ottawa 67s and Kevin.
Bobby couldn't get one right for 2 years. Remember that?
Yeah.
I'm about to take the man off from Bobby.
I don't know, dude.
This one I think we may have done already, but we're doing it again. Okay, so this former New Jersey Devil player was born on my son's birthday, June 7th, 1966. That was not the year my son was born, but the day. He's 6'2". He weighed 215 pounds in his playing days, and he hails from Ripon, Quebec, Canada. He was selected in the second round at 29th overall. This former Devil played 17 years in the NHL.
Did you say what year he was drafted?
I didn't yet. His career, he played 1,054 games. He had 421 goals, 398 assists for 819 points.
You know, Tim?
I was gonna make a guess. I had
Go
three
ahead.
guesses.
These are the worst ones to fuck up, too, when they played over 1,000 games. You're like, oh, shit, I should know
Yeah.
this.
I guess Stefan Richer.
Stefan Richer.
You know what's
Nice
funny was
one, Tim.
I was
You
gonna
couldn't even let
fucking
me
say
get
that right when he said the first clue of where he was from. I swear to God, damn it! I was like,
Yeah,
1984 entry draft. He played 17 years, 9
Keep
with
going, Tim.
Montreal,
Thank
6
you.
with New Jersey, 3 with Tampa, and 1 each for Pittsburgh and the Blues. He won 2 Stanley Cups.
played for
He
the
was
Lightning.
traded to New Jersey on September 20th, 1991 for Tom Chorsky and Kirk Muller. With Tom Chorsky for Kirk Muller and Roland Mallinson. Scored
Oh,
6
remember
goals.
that guy?
Yeah, the
No,
goal. I
bro.
think he played like one game.
Yeah.
He might have played or some shit like that.
Yeah.
He
I wanna
scored
say-
6 goals and 15 assists in 19 playoff games in 1995 when they won the Cup. He was traded back to Montreal on August 22nd, 1996 for, anybody know?
Kirk Muller.
No,
Oh wait, no, that was the other way around.
that was the other way around.
What was it, Chris? I stopped listening to the clues for a second there.
He was traded back to Montreal on August 22nd, 1996 for this player. Who was it?
96.
He was a fan favorite. We all liked Lyle Odeline.
Oh, Lyle
Oh,
Odeline. That was
Lyle.
another guy I haven't thought of in a while.
Yeah.
Wasn't he sick though?
Odeline? I don't know.
I think he was sick, or I got to look that up. I think he was. He had some
You might be
This
right
is
about that.
crazy.
What tipped me off about Richer? Well, I do the math. So 66, right? So that puts him at about 20 years old in 86, which puts him at the entry draft around 84. So that puts him at about 32 when we were winning cups. So I'm thinking 30s winning cups. And then the 421 goals was just like the
There was a stat that I had no idea. So he was the youngest Montreal Canadian to score 50 goals at 21 years old. He's the last Montreal Canadian to score 50 goals.
really.
Is that fucking
That's
crazy?
crazy. What makes me mad about that, and Tim, I would never say this if I swear, right when he said where he was from, I was like, I should say Stefan Richer. And I was like, no, I look like an idiot. I look like an idiot. I'm trying to do the math in my head. I'm like, okay. I'm like, he's born in 60 this. So he's drafted this year. That's why I asked him what the year was, because I was thinking, when you said that, I was like, yeah, I should have shouted that out.
The French
They want
Canadian
us like an
thing
idiot.
really like narrows the window a little bit.
Yeah, I get that. But
And
I loved
Odeline was
Richer.
hospital. He does have health problems. Yeah.
Lyle Odeline?
Suffering. He has a problem. He's suffering with paralysis. Underwent a heart valve, liver, and kidney transplant.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I remember there were some health issues with him. So yeah.
That's some serious
Yeah.
health issues.
Those are like bad health issues. All
All
right,
right. Well,
1-0.
1-0.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
Tim.
going,
Way to
Tim.
go. Way to go. Now that means
Yeah.
that you are the next clue giver.
All right.
All right.
But I
We're
feel like
gonna
that goalie who just looks behind himself and can't believe it went in. I'm like,
That's
damn it,
you?
man! What a
Yeah.
shitty chip shot he got in there. I swear, I can't help it.
Oh,
It's a
man.
tuck rule all over again.
That's funny.
The
I've
fucking
so
tuck rule.
mad at Sunday night at a beer league game.
I was reading this thing today about Tom Brady. It was it was about this time. I knew so there was a charity he did. I think it was last year maybe. And people paid $3,499. Okay. So you got to go to a dinner, you got a photo with Tom Brady, and you got a signature from him.
$3,500. I want to lick my asshole too.
Well, it gets crazier because all these people bring all this
Pretty good deal.
memorabilia. They bring the thing to remember too is Tom Brady charges $4,000 through Fanatics supposedly for an autograph.
Oh, Jesus.
Each so he does this thing, and all these fans. I mean, these people are bringing in like one guy had a ticket from the draft the year he was drafted. One guy has a game used Buck helmet. People have game used cleats. One guy has a football from the Super Bowl they threw a touchdown with, or threw something to Gronkowski. They bring all this stuff, so they lay it on a table. So you go, he does a speech, Brady, and then he goes and signs all the stuff, but not in front of everybody, right?
Right.
So Tom Brady's autograph is like kind of like a TB12. It's not totally awful, but shitty, which is crazy because if you ever look at like the old players when they sign their names, they like had pride in the way they sign their names. These days, it's just like 3 scribbled lines and a number. So Tom Brady signs all this shit, but only signs it with like a squiggle line on all these people's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the people are furious. So the people are getting photos with him, and some of the people are like, "Dude, it's fucked up what you did to my like." Imagine this: you get this game-used Buccaneer helmet that you paid like who knows what for. I mean, this is Tom Brady. You're talking about like, and he just, I saw the stuff. It was just like a fucking line, like 2 lines next to each other, and he was just signing wherever on the stuff, like, and people were pissed. Like, I just thought it was a crazy story because I was like, man, Tom Brady has to know, like, they're playing 3,000.
I guess when you get to a certain level of
you just don't give a shit.
You just don't give a shit anymore.
Be lucky I'm not fucking your wife. He's like,
right, exactly. Yeah, you're lucky that that's all I gave you.
Yeah.
Your next kid doesn't have my eyes. You prick.
Bones.
But I think there's something to be said for that. That like people when they do sign their autographs, they need to be legible. Like you said, how many times you look at like old baseballs with the signature and every dude, you're like, there's fucking blah, 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 blah. It has a million signatures on it. You can read all of them. And then you get, somebody else's, like even my Scott Stevens jersey that's signed, like you can read it. Like I have to say, you know who it is, but like you have to kind of look a little bit like, wait, I see the number 4. Oh yeah, it's Stevens. Even Brodeur, when he used to sign, was just like MTBR30, but he would do it like super fast.
Yeah.
And it was like, is that other than the 30, you wouldn't know any of the letters.
Well, and these guys have different autographs for like when they're outside of this, or they're doing a convention or something like that,
Right.
But you're right. Back in the day, you would get these guys, signatures, and they would actually like, sign them nice. Now you're paying. My wife got me for my birthday. She got me a Max Crosby signed Raiders helmet.
Yeah,
I mean, if my daughter signed it, I wouldn't know the difference. It's just like an M and a C, it's crazy. And I mean, I don't even know what she, got it for, but like, I know she's got the certificate and all that shit on there, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. You would think they, I mean, but they don't, it's just scribble now, man.
There's this memorabilia group on Facebook, this Devils memorabilia group. And the amount of people that post stuff, it's like, can people help me identify these signatures? And,
right, it's crazy.
And it's crazy. And it's just like the only way you can is being like, okay, that guy put number 14 next to his name. So they're like Ralston. 7 number 14. So it's either Ralston or Gianta. Right. And I can't really make out a G. Is that an R? But it definitely says Brian, I think. So it's, it's pretty crazy. Speaking of which, if anybody wants to buy a Miles Wood autographed military appreciation jersey, it's for sale upstairs in my bedroom.
What are you selling that for?
More than, I don't know, whatever somebody will give it to me. I bought it and I had a few whiskeys and bought it at one of those auctions online. Spent a lot more on it than I should have.
if anybody is interested in buying a military appreciation night signed Miles Wood jersey from Tim, you can contact him on X at Tim Wood or on the Uncle Pucker's contact info. Throw an email there, and Tim will get in touch with you.
Please do.
Also,
I originally
I had to
bought
just do
it
this
for
one.
my dad, who played for Miles Wood's grandfather, so that's why
Okay.
I bought it.
And I could see why you want to sell it cheap now. Uncle Pucker's
He died.
stickers. If you are interested in one, again, go to theunclepuckers.com.
I've been
Go to
interested in one
contact
since we
info.
fucking got the things. I've never seen one of these.
I've been mailing a lot of these out.
I've never gotten one of them.
You don't have any at
international
home?
shipping is separate.
No.
You sent them all
It's
to the
cool.
United States?
Yeah, I sent them all. I had them all sent to you guys. I never
I'll
even
send
saw
you a
one
few.
here.
I'll
Oh,
send
that's
you a
cool.
few.
That's
Even
Gotta
I
get
got one.
some in
Tim's got
Lithuania.
one. Jesus Christ.
I mailed one to him. Yes. So
It did come
yeah,
out nice.
we'll send them out to you free of charge. So before we wrap up, anything else, you guys, or anything about? I mean, I know we'll talk more about the games coming up, but anything that you guys want to talk about for prediction, at least for the finals on Thursday? What were you gonna say, Tony?
Can I mention one more thing, not hockey
course.
related? So I've never seen The Sopranos. This week I've watched my first 3 episodes.
I'm sorry.
Do you know you're not a fan?
No, God,
Chris?
no. No.
Really? I just started watching it, man. So I'm kind of digging it. I don't know. I always wait 20 years after the show, like Seinfeld. I didn't see till.
The
What do you think,
Sopranos
Tim?
is an awesome show. I love The Sopranos. Chris is it's the Italian discrimination. But
Well, I do think, first of all, that not all of us from Jersey talk and act like that. It's number one. Number two,
yes,
it is the show that never a show before has epitomized a show where just you watch it for an hour and you're like, nothing fucking happened. Nothing ever happens. You go
You know, they
through
tried
like
to get
one thing will
Brodor's house
happen
for
every
that.
4th episode. What?
They tried to use Brodor's house for some of those
Yeah,
episodes.
that's a
You
hilarious.
heard that
really?
too? Yeah,
Yeah.
he said no because he was like, at that time, I was probably like 96, 97. So he was, he was living the high,
He's
Right.
doing pretty
success.
well. Yeah.
And he was because I think he said in the interview, he's like, I really didn't need the money. I think they offered him like what, 10 grand, Tim? You probably heard the same.
I
interview
forget. I forget what the number was.
Yeah, but they
it
wanted
wasn't
to
a
shoot
lot where-
episodes in there.
It was
Yeah, they
enough.
wanted
It
to-
wasn't enough for him to be like.
But they wanted to take all the
Come on.
shit out of there.
Yeah.
They wanted to take all the furniture out. They wanted because that whole street where they shoot most of that stuff, I guess, where Sopranos house is, Brodor lived on that street too. I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched them all. I watched every episode, but I just it was one of those shows I watched and I didn't like. But what are you guys watching now? Before we wrap it up, let's talk about TV.
That's first thing I'm watching that basically.
All right.
I watched. I really spend most of my time watching hockey and movies. I watched Gladiator 2. Like, kind of.
There was a Gladiator. I didn't even know there was a Gladiator too.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Denzel's in it.
Regladiated.
It's all right. It just I don't know. There's so many 2s and 3s coming out these next couple of years. It's just pretty preposterous. But I watched a lot of the clips from the SNL 50th show that was on.
Oh
Sunday
yeah, I
night.
want to watch that.
It was okay. The prison one.
It's like SNL. Like
Wow.
3 skits are funny and 5 aren't.
Right.
you
Five
know,
to
Drew
one,
Barrymore
way
was
too
on
long.
there.
But it's the celebrity cameos are great. They did the hilarious Kate McKinnon alien encounter skit, which is fucking great. They did
I
it.
wanna
To be honest, though, the Adam
musical
Sandler song.
guest.
Tim, what'd you think?
Sandler had a great song. I haven't seen that yet. Like on YouTube, if you go to the SNL page on YouTube, you can just watch the actual. They did a hilarious Black Jeopardy.
I saw that with
where
Tom Hanks.
Eddie Murphy was playing Tracy Morgan next to Tracy Morgan, who was playing something else.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Eddie Murphy, man, that guy is so fucking funny. Like
They did the Scared Straight. You saw that with Murphy?
I didn't watch that one yet. No, that's. I was watching it like 1 a.m. last night, and I was like, I gotta go to bed.
Will Ferrell got the whole. Remember what was that cop show? The comedy cop show that was always on with the cop with the small shorts.
Reno 911.
Reno 911.
Yeah, Will Ferrell pulls the old Reno 911. It's pretty good,
funny,
man.
That show was fucking hysterical.
That show.
Yes.
So
I'm waiting to. I started watching Silicon Valley again, which I think is one of my favorite shows. But I want to watch Severance. I watched like the first one, and I kind of was like, this is too weird for me right now. I just wasn't in the right headspace for it.
Are you into horror, Tim, or no?
Not really. No, I'm kind of a pussy.
Hey,
my wife and I are going to start White Lotus at some point.
Yeah,
maybe tonight.
That started on Sunday, right?
Well, we haven't watched any of them, so we were going to start with
Oh,
season
you have
one.
okay.
Yeah, I know it doesn't matter; they're not correlated. But so my son is 16 now, and he's like over the course of like the last year and a half to 2 years, he's gotten like really into cool music. Like I send him bands and shit to check out, songs to check out all the time, and then like we'll hop in the car and he puts his playlist on. It's all the shit that like I was telling him to check out. So I love that, and also with movies. So he wanted to watch Fight Club. So Monday night, me, him, and my wife sat down and watched Fight Club. I hadn't seen it in forever. What a good fucking movie, man. That movie is so freaking good, and he loved it. So I think next we're gonna do Pulp Fiction. So I think
Pulp
that's
Fiction.
what we're gonna turn him
Weren't we
on
talking
to.
about this? Like
Yeah.
going through the Tarantino verse?
Yep.
My
So we did
daughters are
Fight
getting
Club.
into. My daughter's
ahead.
been getting into Midnight Oil. Is that you remember that band?
Really?
Midnight. I mean,
Yeah.
great. I mean, some great shit,
Dude,
man.
They did.
I
Some
like
great
Midnight
stuff.
Oil.
Yeah, people only think of like the Beds Are Burning song,
Right.
but there's so much killer stuff with it, and he's still going. The guy's an activist that does a bunch of. He
Yeah.
was a politician for a while.
I think he's in the Australian Parliament too. or
Yeah, he was. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, so one guy I saw some Parliament thing where he was doing like some business there, and some guy stands up and he's like, "I remember you," and he starts doing the dance. Because if you remember that video, he's got the dance.
Yep,
But
yep.
my daughters are really into, which is awesome that they're getting into this old shit. Like they love Bowie. This is like a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. Bowie, Tracy Chapman, my daughter. Tracy Chapman, I love. The only problem with Tracy Chapman is it always bums me out when I hear it. It's like
Yeah.
killer
Yeah.
stuff, man. But her voice is like really, makes you think a little bit. But they like all that T-Rex, Mark Bolan they've been getting into.
Mhm.
So, and they like they set up the little TV and do their thing. But we'll be in the car, and if Bowie comes on, my kids
That's
are like,
awesome.
and
That's
they're
really cool.
so young, and they're banging out Starman. I'm like,
I'll tell you
that
though,
makes me happy.
that's awesome. Back to Midnight Oil, like Blue Sky Mining is a great album. Like
great
that
band.
is such a good album. Forgotten Years and even Blue
His
Sky
voice is
Mine on
great.
it. Like those fantastic songs, and they were a good band. And Rise Against, the punk band, they do a cool cover of Beds Are Burning, actually. You
It's a
should
great
check that
song.
out.
But
Yeah.
actually, the only problem I have with Beds of Burning is that the chorus, they do the how do you dance when the earth, blah blah blah.
Right.
And I always feel like there should be 4 sentences because they always repeat the 2. How can you sleep? When the beds are burning. How do
Yeah.
you dance when the earth is turning? I'm like, man, if they could just came up with 2 more for the 4, because it repeats. I'm a music guy, so it's the only thing when I hear that song that drives me crazy. I'm like, man, if they could just
Okay.
come up with 2 more killer verses there on that chorus, it'd be awesome. That's just crazy thinking, but.
Turning,
So,
burning.
If you
what
think
else?
about it, it's only 2,
Yeah.
something learning, right? You're preaching something. So
Learning,
something about
learning.
learning.
Okay, you could do learning.
this fucking guy, when I went to hockey camp when I was 12 at Phillips Exeter Academy in New Hampshire, stole my Midnight Oil cassette tape
Oh
from
boy.
my room, and I know exactly who it was because he asked me to borrow it, and I got it back from him. But then he stole it
kill
from
him.
me. 3 years later, we wound up. I saw him in the hallway my first day, my freshman year, the prep school that I went to, walking down the hall of the dorm, and there's
Wearing a
this
Midnight Oil
motherfucker.
shirt.
No.
Head shaved, going.
He's
6'8".
Yeah, he's got an Australian accent.
Is that my
Saw him in the
Tattoo
hallway.
of
I was
Kylie
like,
Minogue.
and the first thing I said to him, I was
Keep
like,
going.
"You stole my fucking Midnight Oil tape." It's 3 years later. Like
And he was
CDs
chewing
were
on a
around.
eucalyptus leaf.
So anyway, still didn't get my Midnight Oil tape back. Fucking jerk off.
Well, that's why. I mean, look, if you borrow somebody's tape back then, you fucking make a copy. That was the best thing about tapes.
Yeah.
You can just throw it in your one side of your boombox and record it on the other side.
And the worst part is he was some super rich kid from like the North Shore of Long Island, and he didn't.
What's
need
his
to
name?
steal-
Let's call this motherfucker out, dude.
Chris
Yeah,
Weeks.
who's his name?
Fuck you, Chris
Weeks.
Weeks.
Chris Weeks.
Fucking asshole.
If you're fucking listening to this show, Chris, Tim wants
You're
his
fucking
goddamn
dead.
Midnight Oil
I
tape.
want my
back.
Midnight Oil tape back, Chris.
How could you sleep?
Yeah,
Beds are
how could
burning.
you sleep while the tape was burning?
That's right.
All right.
All right.
I think we're going to wrap this thing up. This was fun. Wherever you're listening to us, guys, you know what to do. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, though, please subscribe. Give us a little thumbs up there. We're trying to get that little part of our social thing going. And we will be doing a live stream at some point this week. We'll let you guys know. We got to figure out schedules and everything else. But real quick, do we have a prediction for Thursday night's final? What do you got first?
I'll
got lucky
go.
with that
I'll go
Stephon Roche.
4-2. Yeah, 4-2 with the U.S. winning empty netter. Jack
And
Hughes puts one on the board.
Jack finally gets one.
Jack gets one. Yeah.
Okay. What do you got, Tone?
I'm gonna go Canada 5-2. I hate to do it, but vengeance, I think, is gonna be maybe.
I think it's Canada. It's 4-3. It's overtime, and it's
Crosby.
Nathan McKinnon. It's McKinnon with the game winner in overtime. Now, for the final, is it 5-on-5? It's 5-on-5 overtime for as long as it's playoff rules, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. But I do expect, hopefully, Matthews is back in the lineup, and hopefully he's back with Jack, because I really want to see those two together a little bit more.
I had something I forgot to talk about.
Go ahead.
It looked to me like JT Miller was actively looking off Jack Hughes and almost intentionally botching passes to him. I know I'm like tinfoil hat and that shit, but they did not play well together at all. And it was starting to piss me off. There are a couple times where Jack's like cruising right down the middle of the slot. Nobody's around him. This is against Sweden. And Miller just looks him off, dishes a pass back to the point. I'm like, what are you doing?
I didn't
Really
notice
pissed me
that.
off. I did. Anyway.
Did you notice
I know
that?
I was watching it like a hawk, like a conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat on. Yeah.
Sure.
Leaving comments on Facebook of other topics of conspiracy.
Yeah, exactly. Now suddenly, hey, by the way, do you guys want to know who built the pyramids?
Yes, I do.
Was it JT Miller?
No, it was aliens. Aliens.
Who was the singer of
It's
Midnight
always
Oil?
aliens.
No, well, that's what happens on Twitter. You watch one innocent video about like the pyramids, and then suddenly you get algorithmed all kinds of weird shit.
I
Twitter.
hope that
Is there a worse place?
Let me try and set this
Twitter,
outro video.
Twitter is the worst place.
Twitter's the worst place in the world. I can't
Yeah,
go. I
is.
can't look away though.
That's awful.
I don't know why. I have no problem not going on it.
But everyone fights on Twitter.
I'm addicted to my phone. I have a real problem with it.
Yeah, everybody is, man.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. I have to set this real quick, because for some reason our of course none of our stuff is preset on here. I don't know
No
why,
problem.
but it's really annoying.
Did you guys
So,
while we're waiting, you guys saw Ozzy's doing his final show in the UK, which they announced after the tickets sold out in 4 minutes. They announced that he'll only be doing a very small little bit during the show, which I mean, kind of new. There's no way Ozzy's going to do a Black Sabbath set and a full Ozzy set.
Right.
But people are very angry.
How old now? Like he's 80s,
deep 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, I've probably seen him, I don't know, maybe 12 times and the last time I saw him was a while ago. And I saw him on his 20 years ago on his last tour. No more tours.
I mean, that guy's on borrowed time. Like how long he's made it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, here's to Ozzy and his final tour at 90 years old. Good for him. All right, boys, we're going to wrap this thing up. We are the Uncle Puckers. Chris, Tim, Tony. We'll see you when we see you.
Go USA.
Fuck you, Velcat.
It's over, Johnny. It's over!
All right.